Welcome to the channel. I am your host, Carter. This is Edge Mindset, where we talk all about knives and knife-related things, personal problems, achievements, fears, whatever you want to talk about. Let's do it here. Leave those comments. Jump into the community section. Let's hang out. That's why I do this, to have friends, to have virtual friends. We're taking a look at another Poikilo Blades knife. This one is a little bit different, though. You may have seen this on my big, massive unboxing, although maybe you didn't. This is the Gecko, and we're going to open it here in a second. And no, this is not a Gecko here. This is a chameleon logo. So you get the leather pouch on here. You get a couple patches, maybe. Sometimes you don't get the patches. Sometimes you don't get the leather lanyard, and sometimes you don't get the leather cloth. Like this one didn't have the leather cloth in it. This is the Gecko from Poikilo Blades. Now, this one is a very popular knife. It sold out very, very fast, and it's a little bit different than what you usually see from Poikilo, because this one is a grade A EDC small slicer knife. This is not an overly embellished, super pretty, crazy wild design. This is in fact a very practical user type blade, and we are going to we're going to dive into it. We're going to check it out. We're going to look at it. We're going to measure it. We're going to prod it, and probe it, lick it, smell it, touch it, flip it, slap it, all that stuff. All right, blade length on here, 3 1/4. Overall length, about 7 1/8. I don't know, 7 inches, 7 1/8, somewhere around there. So very good EDC size. This thing just melts away in your pocket. You don't even know you have it. Let's do a weight real quick. I'm going to say 3.7 ounces. 3.2 ounces. Man, I'm terrible at that. I don't know why I keep trying to guess the weight. Maybe because I got it right like once. It's kind of like when you go to Vegas or, you know, whatever gambling casino hall that you have close by. You go to Vegas and like early on you get that win and then you just chase that win for the rest of your life and you never get it again. I think that's what happened. I guessed amazingly well like once, and so now I try it all of the time. Let's compare it to the Remet Woodpecker. You can see it's actually got some length on the Woodpecker there. Pretty cool, pretty cool. Really like this knife. It is a really just an all-around neat knife. I do have some, I don't know if I would say concerns about it, but some questionable things on kind of the scale removal, but that's not for this video. We are taking a look at the Gecko here. This thing does not want to sit flat either. That pocket clip, it just wants to roll at a unflattering angle for the video. Here it is compared to a Paramilitary 2. Let's do thickness here. Very nice thin profile on this knife. Not too bulky. Goes right in the pocket. It's a winner. It's a winner. If you're looking for a lightweight EDC, throw anything at it knife, this one might be worth your consideration. Here it is compared to an XM18. This is the 3.5 inch version. And that's all we're going to do. That's all we're going to do. So let's take a look at this blade. Very utilitarian draw point right here. You've got a nice swedge on the top. Beautiful grind lines, which this is also unique for Poikilo. This is the only knife I'm aware of that they've done with this kind of belt satin finish. Usually it's got their pearlescent finish or like their acid wash type finish. Not this belt satin. Nice hollow ground blade. It is really thin behind the edge. It is very, very consistent all the way down to the beginning over here of that edge right there with the plunge lines. Done very, very well. No smiles going on this guy here. You've got the Poikilo logo there. Satin flats. Opening hole that's on the smaller side. But, you know, I've got fairly chunky type fingers, and I do not struggle getting my finger in there for a reverse flick. Thumb flick's a little sketchier, but, you know, 3 out of 3. No, 2 out of 3. 2 out of 3 success rate on that. So, you know, the thumb flicking might be a little problematic, just trying to get it in there. And the harder I try, the more I'm squeezing on that lock bar and making it difficult to open up. That is one thing, that, you know, this is more of a general comment. I don't like small frame locks. If I'm doing a smaller type EDC knife, I want it to be an inset liner lock, or, I mean, I hate axis locks, but in theory, like an axis lock. I don't like the frame locks because my hands are just too big and gangly. I can never operate it very well. without putting pressure on this lock bar and just making it difficult for me. I don't know if you all have a similar type experience, but for me, I would prefer just to get it out of the way. And in fact, I'm really, and I've said this before, I'm really liking the resurgence of liner locks in general. And inset liner locks like this are just fantastic. This is not supposed to be about this knife, but look how perfect that lock geometry is. Done very, very well on this woodpecker here. Anyways, speaking of which, let's take a look at the lock geometry on here while we're checking it out. Kind of hard to tell visually, but it looks to be very good. Very solid, not a single wiggle, not a single movement, nothing like that going on. The steel is M398, basically, as the name kind of insinuates, a souped up better version of M390. Although, based on what I'm seeing, not anything necessarily to write home about in terms of improvement with the M390, but it is supposed to be kind of a better version of that. No body screws going on here, no pocket clip screws, very, very clean. How do they do that, do you ask? Well, you got the pivot screw on the back here of this custom pivot. You've got a screw inside the back spacer there, you can see. It's a Torx screw right there, so you undo that. That has some cams that allow you to pull this thing apart. So gives it a very, very clean look. Nothing is going to snag on your pocket or get filled with lint or any, well, I guess the inside here would get filled with lint, but no screws to kind of get all mucked up or anything like that. So done very, very well. You've got some, not just decorative, but some aggressive kind of milling going on right here that allows you to get a little bit of a better purchase. Oh, before I move on, obviously this is a front flipper. It front flips very well. I can index flip it. I can thumb flick it. Let's see if I can do the reach around. Oh man, I'm awful. I'm awful at the reach around. Can't do it. Can't do it. If anybody has any techniques or any advice on how to do that better, I can just never like get the leverage. I can't get all the way around and then still hold the knife secure enough that it's not flopping around in my hand. So let me know if anyone has any tips. Nice backspacer here with some chamfered. You got a two-tone thing going on here with anodized on the chamfering. You've got some decorative like dots going on, which is pretty cool. You've got the lanyard pig nose here if you want to throw a lanyard on here, as well as some more dots on the back. Pocket clip is very nice. Good retention. Nothing to get caught on. They do have the lock bar cut out on the outside, but you can see how low it is compared to where you interact with that pocket clip right there. So no issues getting this in and out of the pocket. It's just all around a really good EDC knife. Ergonomics are fantastic, very comfortable. Everything is, it's not rounded, but because of these machining marks right here, everything is nice and smooth in your hand. Very cool. You can choke up on this choil right here, kind of get up closer. No jimping or anything up here. That would have been nice. And this jimping is pretty useless back here. You really can't feel it. They're doing that whole like Morse code thing, 333 dash, 333 dash. Not very effective, but effective enough for front flipping, right? I have not slipped off of this thing one time, no matter how I do it. Tuned really, really well from right from the factory, right out of the door. Easy to use. Lock bar insert is hidden inside. So there's nothing, you know, no screws on the outside there. Looks very, very good. Plenty of room to access that lock bar right there with the chamfering going on. Very good stuff. Full four finger grip. I always struggle saying that. Full four finger grip, but just barely. Just barely. If it was any tighter, I wouldn't quite make it. Well, maybe not. You know, I don't know. I guess I've got a little bit coming out there. So pretty impressive for a knife this size. How you're able to get a full hand on this baby. Very nice stuff. Very cool. Check it out. The Gecko, if you can find one. These are sold out everywhere. In fact, I don't recall seeing one of these in stock in any of my like Poikilo searching. I never came across one of these in stock. They were always sold out. Only reason I was able to check one out is that they sent me this user to scope out for the channel. This is a personal carry for somebody. You can see some marks on that pocket clip there. So it has been carried and used, and I can see why, because it's a really good EDC blade. Now, so I'm hyping it up objectively. Now, this isn't my cup of tea. You know, this isn't my style of knife. I like things with a little more, I don't know, a little more grit to them, a little more pizzazz to them, right? I like my knives to be usable, but usability and, whoa, sorry, I'm still a little bit sick here. Usability and utility are not my primary objectives for a knife, where that's, you know, the primary purpose of this knife is to be a usable EDC knife you can throw in your pocket, carry around for all of your tasks. Not necessarily my first choice. Beautiful knife. I would love to have it, but it's not one that I would go out of my way to necessarily pick up. But, you know, the point of this channel is to objectively talk about knives in all different kinds of use cases to the best of my ability. And putting on my regular EDC type hat, I can tell that this is a really good choice, really good contender for that space. If the price point and the visuals kind of catch your eye. I think these retail around like $350 to $400, somewhere around there. So not cheap, but not crazy expensive either, at least in my opinion. But very, very cool. All right, check it out. Poikilo, Gecko, or don't check it out. If it catches your eye, check it out. If it doesn't, don't check it out. Thanks for hanging out. I will catch you on the next video. Take care.